Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour.
Good morning, Car Clinic. Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of June 12th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. So your hot new sports car flies, hugging hairpin curves and stopping on a dime. Don't be so sure. Stopping on a dime can cost a pretty penny. When I come back, I'll change your mind about braking distance.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Bet your bottom dollar you cannot stop on a dime. And it'll cost more than a wooden nickel if you rear-end a car while tailgating. Protect your bank account and your life by remembering the golden rule of braking. Leave at least 4 seconds of distance between you and the car ahead. Why? Under ideal conditions, perception and reaction times add up to about 2 seconds. But if you're tired, distracted, or under the influence, perception, reaction, and braking distance are dramatically increased. So forget about stopping on a dime. Instead, use your heads and don't tailgate. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Using generic brands and clipping coupons may be ways to save that make sense. But when I come back, I'll tell you a way that cutting corners will cost you.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics Arctic Freeze R134A refrigerant with leak sealer for $32.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Cutting corners when driving can be expensive. Here's what I mean. When turning left, it's tempting to meander into the intersection. Point your wheels left and hurriedly turn at an angle across the perpendicular center lane without giving right of way to oncoming traffic. That's a no-no. According to data published by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, failure to yield when turning left occurred in 78% of fatal two-vehicle crashes at traffic signals. Another study reveals that 30% of bicycle-related accidents are caused by over-anxious motorists at crossroads. So wisely, spend time at intersections. Clip coupons, not corners. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, this is Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. I don't know what Shakespeare had in mind when he wrote about the stuff dreams are made of, but I know just where to find it when I cruise back. It's all about Woodward Avenue.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts during Clean Car Month for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new. Like Meguiar's Deep Crystal Car Wash, now $3.99 for a 64-ounce bottle. Bring out your vehicle's shine with Meguiar's Car Wash, now $3.99 during Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In The Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare reflected, "All that glitters is not gold." He was right. In 1910, the shimmer was from the site of the first moving assembly line. Henry Ford's Crystal Palace, located on Detroit's Woodward Avenue. Marked in 1701 when Antoine Cadillac founded what would become the Motor City, this history-studded thoroughfare is the scene of many innovations, including the first traffic light and the first mile of paved concrete road. Today, Woodward Avenue is the stuff dreams are made of as the setting of the 16-mile automotive fashion parade, which lures 1.7 million people and 40,000 classic cars. The Woodward Avenue Dream Cruise. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Driving down the highway, burger, cola, and fries on the side. Uh-oh, looks like your snack in hand is now underfoot. When I come back, I'll give you tips on removing stains.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and purchase 5 quarts of Valvoline SynPower motor oil and a Wix filter for $32.99 and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card by mail and receive 150 O Rewards points on this offer. Valvoline SynPower now $32.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wipe that ketchup off your nose. Now, if your carpets look like a Calico Cat or a Jason Pollock painting, here are some surefire ways to tackle common stains. Chewing gum. Harden with an ice cube, then scrape away with a dull knife. Ketchup. Remove any excess, blot with a water-soaked rag, then scrub stain with a mild detergent. Soda. Sop with a damp sponge, then pour plenty of warm water and remove excess liquid. Repeat as necessary. And for dessert, ice cream. Sponge with cold water, then rub with a mild solvent. Now your carpets are so clean you could eat off them. Now about that t-shirt, I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Hear ye, gas prices continue to soar. Well, perk up your ears, because when I come back, I'll tell you about a fuel that can be found in a field of dreams.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and purchase 5 quarts of Valvoline conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $23.99 and get a $5 O'Reilly gift card by mail. Plus, earn 50 O Rewards points on this offer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Friends, farmers, countrymen, lend me your ears. Ears of corn, that is. E85 is a 105-octane blend of 15% petroleum and 85% ethanol derived from corn and can be used in late-model cars, trucks, SUVs, and minivans designed as flexible fuel vehicles, or FFVs. Praised for burning this greener, renewable fuel, more than 4 million FFVs fuel up with E85 today. Though they're dead ringers in looks and cost for gasoline-only vehicles, they earned the name flexible because they can use any combination of gasoline and or E85. There's nothing corny about this alternative power source, so look for a decal under the fuel door to see if your vehicle can use it. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, live via ABC Radio Satellite Services. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Also, 888 Car Clinic. That number is open. Miss Jan will take your calls, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. 888-227-2546. Okay, it's road trip. Today opens today officially. It's road trip, so is your car road worthy? And folks, don't just think you can take your car in and say, check it for a trip. There's actually a better source, a better way to pull that trigger, and that's to have an annual inspection, or what we call a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. When a technician checks your car for a pre-purchase inspection, that technician is going to make sure that he or she goes through it from bumper to bumper, because the last thing you want to be is on the side of the road. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Stant Corporation, makers of the Superstat. Reach for the thermostat professional installers prefer. Learn more about the Superstat and Stant's entire collection of aftermarket caps and thermostats. Where? Stant.com. Also, I'm proud to say this segment is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts has highly trained, friendly, and knowledgeable parts professionals that'll help you find the right part that you need to get the job done right the first time. O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to helping you get back on the road fast. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Okay, let's go. Call early. Get your call in. 888-227-2546. Jan will take your call and put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. That's when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your AC stops blowing cold air, find relief during Murray AC Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. While you may need to eventually have your AC professionally serviced, O'Reilly Auto Parts has special offers on the items you need to bring the cool back now. Everything from AC compressors to refrigerant. Don't miss Murray AC Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What can open and close hundreds of times a day on your vehicle? Your vehicle's thermostat, which performs two critical jobs: accelerates engine warm-up and regulates engine operating temperature. With so much at stake, like engine wear, fuel efficiency, emissions, and cold weather drivability, choose the thermostat professional installers choose. Stant. Stant's Superstat is premium grade and features a heavier gauge stainless steel housing and larger heat motor for optimal temperature control. For more Superstat advantages, visit Stant.com. That's Stant.com.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. No pun intended. Well, yeah, every pun intended. What a fun. Cars can be fun. I just ordered a new widget for my car, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. It's for talking hands-free. Now, my vehicle already has, as most do today, hands-free. The challenge is, and let me ask you this question, and maybe I'll ask Earl or Roger or Jim, our caller so far in the queue. Oh, and there's some lines open, so if you'd like to get in now, please call in early rather than toward the end of the program, because we get the rushing and we get out of time, and then I have to cut you short. I'm going to go to Earl here in just a minute because Earl called in too late last week, but we're going to go to him. But before I do, there's a device that I bought for my vehicle that is a simple magnetic stand that attaches to the dash or a steering column, wherever it's convenient for you. And then you have a magnet that's a little indention. It's about the size of a nickel that goes on the back of your phone or the back of your phone case. And when you get in the car, you just simply place your phone on that magnet and it just sticks there, and then you can drive down the road. It's a great place to not have the phone in your pocket, which is uncomfortable for me. It's also a safety item, and one of the things I do not do, and I trust that you don't, is text. I do not text. I never, and I just don't use the word never, but I never text when I'm driving a vehicle. It's the worst thing you can do. You look up and all of a sudden there's somebody in front of you, and you run over a child. I mean, just so many things, and you think just momentarily I'll look off the road. And so many times I'll start to accelerate when the light changes green. There's a car in front of me, and the car will just sit there, and there's somebody on their they're on their phone texting. That is a real disturbing factor to me. And it's those times that I'd like to be a traffic cop. I really would. So there you have it in a nutshell. Let's go to South Carolina and let's talk to Earl. Earl, thanks for calling back again this week. Welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I have let me give you a little history here.
Okay,
1996 S10 4.3
okay.
V6, bought it new. In 2006, had to change the air conditioning compressor.
Yes, sir.
Everything's fine until August of 2015. The compressor went bad again. I changed the compressor. Well, when I say I changed, I had it changed.
Right, I'm with you.
I changed the compressor, the accumulator, and the orifice tube filter. Okay. Then, and that was August. In November, compressor locks down again. This time, I changed mechanics. I changed everything except the evaporator and the hoses.
Okay.
The guy assured me that he flushed those out real good.
Right.
No problem there. And in May of 16, 6 months later, the same thing happens. It locks down again. I go ahead and he checks it. He says we need to change the compressor and the orifice tube and the accumulator. So I did. 2 days later, the same thing happens. It locks down. I'm out there now with the compressor locked down, and I'm scared to spend any more money. So,
well,
you got any advice?
Well, Well, you've already, my first piece of advice you've already done. You've already changed mechanics. that was funny the way you said that. You know, Earl, obviously there's a problem causing the compressor to lock down and to seize.
Right.
And my experience tells me that there's an oil issue in this vehicle. You see, when these folks flush the system, and we use, for lack of a better word, like denatured alcohol is what we use to flush an AC system, and that gets all the pieces out of the system. I can only assume, and you know, a couple things here. I'm trying to be real specific. Number one, there's a possibility that the condenser is filled with old compressor parts, a high probability that it is. So if you were in my shop, what I would do is I would flush the evaporator core, because that's a bigger tubed item than the condenser. I would replace the condenser. I would make sure, of course, the fans are working, and obviously the fans are working, because if they weren't, the compressor it wouldn't lock the compressor. It would just blow a valve, you know, because it would overheat, and it would pop off, and it would blow all the Freon out, or all the refrigerant. So I think that for you have to replace the condenser, and given that, you also have to add, whenever someone replaces the condenser, you'll have to add whatever the manufacturer calls for the new condenser, because there must be oil to coat the inside of that condenser, and usually that's about 3 ounces of compressor oil. And so you would replace the condenser, because I truly believe that's where the issue is here, is that the original compressor trashed that condenser full of whatever pieces that came apart. And, of course, those pieces, once they go through the condenser, whatever's left over that doesn't stick in little nooks and crannies inside the AC radiator, which is the condenser, will transfer into the tube, the orifice tube. So I think here's what I would like for you to do, what I would suggest that you do. I do suggest you replace the condenser. I do suggest you replace the accumulator dryer and the compressor assembly. And of course the orifice tube is a no-brainer. It's a given. And then flush the lines that are left open, and flush the evaporator core as well. The evaporator core usually comes clean, because, as I said, it's a larger tube device than the condenser. So it sounds to me as though you've got some other expenses here. Let me ask you a question in closing. Did the last technician you went to, can he help you with the replacement of the compressor? And the reason I ask that is that sometimes, even if there's a problem with the car, we have such a great relationship. For us, right down the street, literally a couple of football fields at best, is our O'Reilly Auto Parts. And these guys are so great to work with. In fact, there's one gentleman down there that answers the phone, is JD, and we have an electronic connection where we can e-order parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. But if I'm working the desk and I've got a half dozen things coming on, rather than go through the clicking of the computer, I'll just pick up the phone and Chris will answer the phone. I said JD, but it's Chris, and Chris will answer the phone, and I say, I need your help. Here's what I need. I got this, and this. I need this. I got it, he says, and then I don't have to worry about it. So they really, really are great. Having said that, when we have on those occasions a part failure that it may or may not be the defective part, they can still warranty it, because they just send it back to the manufacturer and said this part failed. Now, I don't know how many parts have been replaced that didn't fail, that were caused by other situations, that the shop said the part failed because they didn't want to charge the customer twice. I mean, we that's a normal practice for us. If we have a problem with a part, whether or not it was the car that caused it, or a technician that caused it. And, I mean, there's always the gray area. Life is not black and white as much as I'd like for it to be. So we immediately we take care of our customers. In fact, we just did this yesterday with an alternator problem we had with a lady, I'll call her Miss B, and she came in, and she had a battery that was bad. She had to get it jump-started. and the battery was bad, but that wasn't what caused it. It wasn't the battery's fault. But we replaced the battery. We also replaced the part that caused the battery to go bad, and we had put that battery in August of 15. So we took care of that part. And was it a bad battery? No. I mean, it was defective because it was ruined, but it wasn't ruined because it was a bad battery. It was ruined because of the car's charging system. So I said all that to say that go back to your technician, replace the air conditioner compressor assembly, filter dryer, and put a new condenser, and then flush the remaining lines, flush the evaporator core, put a new orifice tube in it, add 3 ounces of refrigerant to the evaporator core, because you're going to flush all the oil out of it. Add 3 more ounces of refrigerant to the new condenser because it'll be new and it'll have to have oil put in it. And then the compressor will come with oil in it. If it doesn't, of course, the technician will know because it tells you in the box. And most compressors do come filled and ready to install. So that's what I would do. And I would not expect that to give you any problems for years and years. I mean, that's exactly what I would do if I were challenged on Monday morning to fix your S10. That's exactly what I'd do. You got it?
I wish you was local.
Yeah, I wish I were too, man.
I went to 2 other garages, and one fellow told me I'll not get involved.
Well, we have a lot of people that come in, and I have a lot of calls that say, I want you to service my transmission at $195,000, and shops will say, I'm not touching that vehicle. But we do. I mean, we know what we're doing. Hey, thanks for your call, and folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back after these short messages. Don't go away. Folks, it's a great time to shop for tires. Starting Monday, May 15th and running through June 15th, General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires. General Tire offers unbeatable technologies like replacement tire monitors, smart grip, and visual alignment monitors. And with new tires like the G-Max AS05, the selection's never been better. Find your next set of tires at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com. When it comes to your car battery, you expect it to work. Turn the key and go. Thanks to PowerFrame Grid technology, you can trust your battery to be there start after start. Batteries with PowerFrame Grid technology are tested to provide superior cranking power with up to 70% better electrical flow than other grid designs. Look for PowerFrame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with PowerFrame Grid technology, or to learn more, go to PowerFrame.com. That's PowerFrame.com. We recently had an 08 Ford Expedition coming to the shop, and the owner was complaining about an awful burning smell after driving the car any distance. After giving the vehicle a once-over, we found leaking valve cover gaskets which were allowing oil to run down onto the exhaust manifold. The entire engine bay was also covered with a fine film of oil from a bad power steering hose. We needed to clean everything first so we could accurately diagnose and fix the problem quickly. We used Berryman B33 engine degreaser and sprayed it onto a cool engine. We let it sit for a short time, then rinsed it off, leaving everything clean and oil-free. Once we replaced the hose and the valve cover gaskets, the Ford was ready to get back on the road. Berryman B33 engine degreaser was perfect for this job. The fast spray-on, rinse-off cycle saves time and conserves water. The product's also safe to use. Its biodegradable formula contains no harmful phosphates, solvents, abrasives, or VOCs. Learn more about Berryman B33 degreaser and other great Berryman products at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great show today, folks. Call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. With us on the hotline now is Andy Boyd, U.S. Markets Manager for 3M's Paint Booth Solutions. Andy, you're a first-time guest. Glad to have you join us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And folks, I've asked Andy to join us today to talk about the 3M AccuSpray gun system. As many of you Car Clinic listeners and viewers remember, we gave away a 3M AccuSpray spray gun system to a listener in Texas, and he loves it. Andy, with that, I'll welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Hey, thanks, Bobby. Really appreciate the opportunity to tell our story a little bit more.
Well, you know, let's talk about that, the benefits of the AccuSpray gun versus a traditional metal gun, and can this system be used with an old gun?
Well, yes, actually it can. You know, it's kind of a two-part system that works together. We've got the AccuSpray spray gun, which is the spray gun body itself there, and then we've got a cup system called the paint preparation. We call it PPS because we love our acronyms at 3M, but PPS has been around for about 15 years, and that cup system can be adapted to any spray gun. So yes, we can adapt it, and then if you want to take it a step further and not have to deal with the pain of cleaning and maintenance out of your spray gun, that's when AccuSpray really comes in, saves the day.
Now, the AccuSpray system, is that geared toward the professional or the consumer?
Well, it's a great question, Bobby. It's a gun, you know, we years and years ago when we really innovate, this part of 3M innovates into collision repair and body shops. And, you know, initially we intended it to be for the professional auto body repair painter. But AccuSpray, this spray gun system, has really kind of evolved into its own world from the standpoint of, listen, no matter if you're spraying a car in the garage and you're an enthusiast, or you pick up a spray gun once every couple of weeks or a couple of months, or maybe even once or twice in your life, you're still using a spray gun that requires cleaning and maintenance. And so this gun has really kind of morphed into its own thing and really been the hobbyist's friend from the standpoint of it's easy to use, it's super versatile from the standpoint of you can use one gun for primer, sealer, base coat, and clear coat, or if you're spraying cabinets or a boat. Really anything you're going to use a spray gun for, you can use this system for. And, of course, again, if you're new to painting, nothing easier to use than something you don't have to deal with a lot of the cleaning, right? And cleaning, and that's kind of we're trying to take the pain of cleaning and maintenance out of painting. And so I would say, you know, we developed it, and it's used by professionals every single day, but over the course of the last several years, it's really become a friendly tool for the enthusiast or the hobbyist.
So then it's safe to say that this professionally designed gun works so well and is so easy and requires no real maintenance as compared to the old metal guns that even the consumers are using it around the house as well?
Yeah, absolutely. They're using it around the house, and because it's the same no matter what you're doing or who you are, if you're going to have to clean, you're going to have to use a spray gun, you got to clean it and maintain it. And we use disposable components. So on the cup side of things, if you can think of like a baby bottle. So there's just a liner inside of that cup. So if you've got to spray a variety of different colors, or again, if you're spraying a car, if you're restoring a car, primer, sealer, base coat, clear coat, you might have a couple of different colors of clear coat. You can do everything inside that disposable cup that we call PPS. And then the AccuSpray gun was an invention that came along several years after PPS when we asked painters and we asked hobbyists, listen, if we can make this system any better, you can use the cup system on your spray gun today, but if we can make the system any better, how would we do it? And they said, well, listen, we still got to clean and maintain our spray guns. Not to mention the fact that a lot of folks aren't comfortable spraying something, that's very viscous and like a primer, and then using that same gun to spray a top coat or a finish coat. And of course, if you're restoring a car, you put months and months, if not years, into getting that car up to the paint process, and that's what everybody sees. So professional finish is at the utmost importance. And we understand that, but we just took it a step further with AccuSpray. It's a composite-bodied handle, which doesn't have any of the parts that you find in a traditional metal gun. It's all one piece. It's very lightweight, about 11.4 ounces in weight. And then it's just got replaceables. So there's different colors, the different atomizing heads we call them, but they're like just tips you can put on the spray gun. So you get different sizes, which just allow you to spray a variety of different coatings from a 2.0 millimeter we offer, which is going to be for primer or something thick like adhesive or gel coat or maybe a latex paint, all the way down to a 1.2 and 1.3 millimeter, which is what our professionals use for applying base coat and clear coat in an automotive application. So based on the versatility of it, and being able to get one part number and one kit, which is a kit we really put together for the consumer, for the enthusiast or hobbyist, at one price point, and not have to deal with the maintenance and the tedious cleaning that is so commonly associated with HVLP cup spray guns. That's where our enthusiast friends and the hobbyists and the folks in the garages out there really, really loving this system.
We're talking with Andy Boyd about the 3M AccuSpray spray gun system. And Andy, so that our listeners can better understand, there's a high-pressure spray system and a low-pressure spray system. One of those systems actually takes the paint and sprays it through a nozzle, which means you have to clean that. And then the AccuSpray really doesn't spray paint through the nozzle, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Well, you've got really, in its simplest form, a cup spray gun with a cup on it. What we used is high volume, low pressure. That's HVLP. And the whole point there is while the air comes up through the gun and meets, it just comes down from the cup down through the front end of the spray gun. So we're traditional spray guns, the paint kind of makes its way through half the spray gun before it actually makes it to that nozzle.
Right.
Ours just comes down very, very simply from the disposable liner right to the tip of the spray gun, so to speak. So it's not going through. The paint's actually not impeding on very much of the spray gun at all. Actually, when you clean our spray gun, if you remove that front end, all you're going to see on the fluid needle, which is the little needle that's always in a spray gun there, is about a 1/4 inch of paint that you're wiping off. So, yes, that's the idea is to make the flow of paint down to the most critical point where the air is going to meet it, obviously without having to do a lot of that cleanup and take the gun apart and deal with the insides of the spray gun.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And so for me, when I think about around the house, I think about maybe a fence or a garage sprucing up. What comes with the kit, and how do we get one?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we've got 5-digit part numbers in our land, and very simply 16580 is the kit that we're talking about. And it's a storytelling type of kit. It's kind of a standalone. People call it maybe more of a retail display type of kit. But what's in it is, you'll see if you're looking at it, is the black portion of the spray gun is the body, just the handle of the spray gun, and you can actually grab onto it from the outside of this package. And then what you'll see surrounding it are 4 different, we call atomizing heads, but they're these little nozzles or tips that go on the front of the spray gun that are replaceable, but they're also cleanable. What you also notice about the 4 of them, and we have them available in the kit in a 1.2 for very low viscosity coatings or very hot, very, very fine finish. 1.3, right alongside the 1.2 would be your finish coat tip. Or if you're spraying, like you said, a fence and you need to put some lacquer or some stain or some varnish down, something low viscosity, it's great for that. 1.4 as for a more of a medium viscosity, maybe a single stage paint or, like we said, a sealer or maybe even a lacquer. And then the 1.8 millimeter is going to be for a lot of your primers, your heavier viscosity materials. And they're all different colors you'll see on this kit. And the whole idea of the different color is that you know what size it is. Of course, it's labeled on the package, but a very easy way to identify what you're kind of changing out on all the same gun platform. And then what you're going to get from a cup perspective is you get the hard shell cup. And so like a baby bottle, you've got the hard shell, and then we give you 5 lids and liners, the disposable lids and liners. So no matter the job that you're starting, the spray gun kit can get you from start to finish, and including, of course, an airflow control valve, because, like I said, we like to spray everything at very low pressures so we can put more of your paint and your coating on the substrate versus ending up standing in a cloud in the garage. Of course, overspray is no good. That's wasteful. So an all-inclusive kit. And you can pick one up on Amazon. You can pick one up from any 3M authorized distributor. So if you're buying your 3M, wherever you're buying your 3M, you would be able to get this part number 16580 kit through them. And then we've also got a website, Bobby. We understand that there's a lot of folks that, while this is we believe it's the perfect system for anyone that's trying to take the paint out of painting. And if you're in the garage, of course you're trying to do that. But we built a website, but we've also built a video series, 90-second videos to take you from start to finish in setting up the gun, adjusting the gun, all the way through cleaning and proper storage. And that website is 3M Collision, so it's www.3mcollision.com with a /AccuSpray, ACCUSPRAY, AccuSpray system. And so if you go to that landing page, it's chock full of information really geared towards the enthusiast or the gentleman, just like yourself. You're in the garage, and no matter the project you pick this gun up and use it for, you will find it enjoyable based on the professional finish and, again, not having the pain of cleaning and maintenance.
Well, I'd have to get one. I did have an opportunity when we gave one away several months ago to take a look at it, and it's just amazing. And, folks, it looks so simple. So anytime, and it's been my experience in the automotive world, that anytime something looks so simple and you say, well, why didn't I think of that? There's a lot of engineering behind it, and no doubt 3M has the engineers to really move to the top. In fact, you correct me if I'm wrong, but folks, 3M actually invented masking tape. Is that correct, Andy?
That's actually a fun story. Dick Drew is the gentleman at 3M in 1920 that invented masking tape, and he invented it on accident. A lot of our technology, I mean, you know, we've just recently gone through a rebranding, and you know, our tagline is now science applied to life, because it's just science until you can apply it to something. And Dick Drew, understanding, and he was developing abrasives, because that's what we're built on. We invented abrasives in 1902. And in 1920, Dick had a piece of sandpaper, and he said, well, geez, what makes up sandpaper? Paper, glue, and mineral. So he actually ended up taking the glue portion of it, and over the course, it took him 5 years. And ironically, it took us 5 years to get the perfection in the 1.2 and the 1.3 millimeter atomizing heads. But after 5 years, he was able to take it out, and that masking tape was invented in 1920, and when two-tone paints were at the utmost importance, boy, oh boy, real lifesaver, and it's been that way. We've continued to innovate in masking tape for the last 85, 97 years we've been around with masking tape. So, yes, it's in our DNA, and boy, oh boy, we love cars.
Very
interesting.
A
lot with cars, right?
Very interesting, Andy. All the stories. We'll have to get you back on Bobby Likis Car Clinic just to have more stories about how 3M first started out and where it is today. And folks, again, you can buy this on Amazon, which is one of my favorite shopping stores. 3M AccuSpray, and this gun system is kit number 16580. Andy Boyd, 3M. Andy, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great information, great new product.
Bobby, look forward to sharing more stories with your audience. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Yeah, the stories, that's what we need, folks, more stories. And 3M, what a company. The inventors of masking tape, and this popped into my mind. I forget where, I don't even remember where I learned that, but I can tell you from experience the clear coat, when you buy a new car, you can actually get this bra effect put on the car. You can't really see it. That will protect the front of the automobile. 3M, Andy Boyd, what a great interview. Hey, I'm going to come back and take your calls at 888-227-2546. Don't touch that dial. Like us, you'll love us. Dear Bobby, while traveling, my 08 Subaru needed to have a tire replaced due to a puncture. I could not find the exact tire and used an off-brand instead. Different brand, but same size. Could this cause problems for my all-wheel drive vehicle? Tire diameter is critical, especially on all-wheel drive vehicles. Using the same size from different manufacturers can create enough of a difference to be an issue, even with just one tire. Not to mention the differences in tread wear levels. The vehicle could shudder on turns. It could even damage the all-wheel drive system. In some vehicles, the all-wheel drive system becomes disabled and won't work at all. Vehicle manufacturers state the concern about mismatched tires and diameter differences through their service departments and technical service bulletins. Some vehicle manufacturers actually require replacement tires in sets of 4 to help avoid any issues. Buying off-brand tires can also be a problem because not all brands have nationwide coverage. This is just one of the reasons we recommend General Tire so frequently, as they're available coast to coast. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in today and every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time. The number for you to participate is 888 Car Clinic. JT will take your calls at 888-227-2546. Let's go to Martha. Martha, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And Bill, you stay right there. We're going to come to you in North Carolina next. Martha, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How may I help you?
Yes, I have a Mazda 3, 2005,
okay.
And I have a very strange problem for me that it'll start up normally usually, but then every once in a while I'll try to shift into gear. I'll start it up and I'll try to shift into gear and it'll stick. The gear shift won't work. And so I'll turn the car back off, put my foot on the brake and try to move it, and I'll finally get it unstuck, try to start it up again, and now it won't start. And it just won't start, and it'll leave me all over the place, and I'll have to get towed, and I'll get to a mechanic shop, and sometimes it'll just start right back up again.
Yes.
So
Well,
it's
let's
extremely
back up.
annoying, and people have said, well, it might be the safety switch or something, but I don't know.
There is a safety switch, and I would agree with just that initial thought. The lockout switch, well, first, let's, because you're mixing two different problems here. So if your main problem, your primary problem is that when you do start the automobile and with your foot on the brake, and then you depress the brake and hold it down and pull it out of park, it won't come out of park. That's your main primary concern. Is that correct?
Yes, it doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes that'll happen, and then I'll just start it and go on my way. But yes, that is a problem.
Okay, here's what I'd like for you to become familiar with, and you can do this. You'll have to get in a quiet place where there's no traffic, and maybe your driveway is a good place to be. Turn the ignition switch to the run position, but do not start the car.
Okay.
So you've got it in that run position, and your dash lights are on now. Make sure that your air conditioner, you can turn it off and turn your radio off. That's funny for me to say turn your radio off, but this for diagnostic purposes. And then what I want you to do is I want you to let off of the brake. Remember, the car's sitting there and it's in park, and there's nothing on except the ignition switch is in the run, but the engine's not running because you haven't started the car yet.
Yeah.
And then I want you to put your hand on the gear shift, just so you can feel the gear shift, and don't push any buttons. Just rest your palm on the gear shift. Then I want you to touch the brake pedal, like you're stepping on the brake to make the brake lights work, and then let off, and you'll feel a little tick, tick, tick every time. Well, you should. Every time you touch the brake pedal and let off, because what you're doing is you're activating the solenoid that allows you to unlock the gear shift lever and pull it out of park. And that's called a lockout solenoid. And many times that solenoid will get weak and won't allow it still has current going to it, but it won't retract the pin. And imagine that when you step on the brake and you have a deadbolt in your home, you turn a deadbolt to retract the deadbolt, right?
Yes.
Well, that pin that locks your car in park is a deadbolt that is engaged in the lever so that you can't move the lever from its park position. And instead, when you step on the brake pedal, current sends a signal and retracts that deadbolt. You don't have to turn the deadbolt like you do on your house door.
Oh,
it's automatic. And in that automatic retraction, you can hear it, but it's real subtle. I do this from time to time with my car just to hear the mechanical workings of the car and correlate the brake pedal and what have you. And you can do this with any automobile. So any of you who are tuned in and have an automatic transmission, you can do this with the engine off, and you can feel that pin going tick, 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 relative to stepping on the brake pedal. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Now, the reason that I share this with you is on those occasions where you crank it and it doesn't, the park won't move. I want you now, because you are familiar with the feel of that, you can turn the engine back off so you don't have any vibrations or any other feeling of senses coming in. And then you turn the key back on, and now you're going to put your foot on the brake and feel that same. And if you can't feel that pin retracting, that tick, 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 every time you step on the brake and let off, you'll know that it is the unlock solenoid. And then you can go to your local service garage and say, let me show you what it does, and then let me tell you what it doesn't do when it doesn't work. Because sure as I come here, of course, by the time you get to a garage or you finally fool with it long enough, the goo or gum or whatever stopping that pin from working has warmed up some, because the car is warmed up, and it works. That's why it doesn't work when you go to a shop. So that's what I would suggest that you do, and as a first step. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do, because you say that's why it wouldn't work when I first get to the shop. But what I was saying is that sometimes, actually, it started right up when we got to the shop. After we had put it up on the tow thing and towed it over there and unloaded it, and then they started it.
But wait a minute now. Well, I'm separating the starting from the getting out of park. Your primary concern. I'm separating those two issues. So you see where I'm going here? That's the reason I wanted you. Well, you've got two. You called me with one issue, but then you multiplied and added complexity to that issue by saying it won't start. Your initial comment to me was you start the car and it won't come out of park.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So address that issue first.
Okay.
And as far as the other one, that would take an hour to even discuss it. And that's something that has to be tested in a shop. And if you have to leave the car for them to road test the car overnight, so be it. That they have. If you have to leave it for 2 days, you have to do that.
Well, can I just say one thing? Because,
sure.
I went. I mean, I asked the mechanic, and I think he basically, that's what he was saying. Like he was saying it's the solenoid of the starter, and you need a new start engine, and he changed that. So then after that, it didn't do anything wrong for a couple of weeks, and then bam, it started doing it again. Then
to that end, now we're shifting gears. To that end, on the no start, not the no come out of park, but the no start side of your story, you take it back to that person so he can pick up where he left off, because you have a relationship with him, and he has an obligation to help you to the best of his ability to decide what next steps to take.
Okay. And any suspicion as to what it might be? I mean,
yes, I do. I suspect that there's a voltage drop. I suspect that he needs to test for voltage drop at the starter. And voltage drop means you have 12.8 to 13 volts at the battery. And by the time that voltage travels through the car to the firewall, through the ignition switch, through the neutral safety switch, and then to the starter, it may fall down to 11 volts. And if yours falls down to 8 volts, that won't cut it. That won't. And so that shows you that there's a connection or a resistance in the wire somewhere. And it could even be a bad ground on the engine. It could even be a bad connection at the battery itself. So those, it's called voltage drop. So that would be your secondary problem.
Okay, and the only reason why, I just asked that is because most of the tow people, it's amazing, but they almost all say, oh, I know what it is.
Well, they don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. They just suspect what it is. That's a guy thing. That's I know what that is. It happens all the time. But, really?
But actually, two of them have been women, and they said the same thing too. They think it's a safety switch has gotten bent or something underneath the car, or loose or something, and that's why.
I disagree. I disagree with that, Martha. In closing, I disagree with that because if it's a safety switch, you can put it in park, and if it won't crank, then you can put the car in neutral. And it should crank in park or neutral. So you have two different situations, and you wouldn't have failure on both of those.
Okay.
You got it? So if it won't start in park, if it won't crank in park, put it in neutral. And then if it won't crank in neutral, then it almost proves that it's not that switch. Hey, thank you for your call. That's and folks, thanks for sticking with us. I always try to help, and sometimes with electrical, this is what happens with electrical. And if you think this is long, in a shop, we spend hours to trace a vehicle. So the next time you go to a shop, try to call me first, and we'll have a conversation that will help you cut through and get to the bottom so you can have a better communication with your local service provider, because that's what it's all about. Let's go to North Carolina. Bill, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Usual.
Thank you, sir.
Got an 08 Expedition with a hatchback problem at all three stations, being the pod, the outside, and the inside control. Mm-hmm. The gate will go up, and half of the time the signal will come on, the gate will come back down.
Right.
I feel that there is a limit switch, which if I block the door coming down and work it manually a few times, it seems like it's all right for a while. All hinges are tight, no loose play. Mm-hmm. I cannot find a limit switch unless it's built into the motor through the inspection plate in the cowling.
How very interesting.
I don't know whether there is a limit switch there or whether it would be a gravity-fed switch in the hatchback itself. When it goes up, it would roll and stop.
Well, as astute as you are, you're going to love this information. The limit switch is not in the automobile. The limit switch is in the body control module, and the limit switch recognizes the current draw of that door. And when the door is blocked, i.e. when you're in the way of the door, it causes a current rise, and as a result, the body control module says, stop, there's a problem here. And that's how they control sliding doors, opening doors, and that's how they control, like in a van, a sliding door from crushing a child, or from, if you had your hand in the door, just say that somebody pushed the door and you're not situated in the seat and you had your hand in the door, when the motor draws more current because it sees a resistance, then that body control module recognizes immediately the rise in amperage that it takes to move that door and will reverse the polarity or stop the action.
Okay, I was hunting for the wrong thing, so there is no limit switch.
No, sir, there's not a limit switch. And to that end, if you were to, now I'm not sure if your car has this all the way down for its power windows, where you push the button and make it click. You can push it gingerly and it'll go down as far as you hold the button, or you can just push it all the way and let go. And it
does not have the express down.
Okay, if it had the express down, you could actually, on some cars, most cars, when you change the battery out, that function goes away. And you say, well, wait a minute, you put a new battery in my car, but you broke it. And to that end, an Audi requires a reprogramming of the car once you put a new battery in it. But that's neither here nor there. With those windows that don't work, after you replace the battery, you literally hold your, with the window up, you hold that express all the way down until that window motor goes all the way down. You continue to hold it, and it will break the circuit breaker in the body control module. And then you do the same thing coming up, and it will break the circuit breaker. Well, it's not really a circuit breaker, but it's a circuit breaker.
Right,
but
I've
not as
done
weak.
that on GM
Okay.
cars. Now, on this hatchback, if I follow the gate up when it's going up with a little bit of pressure, it stays up.
Well, then you replace the struts. That does it have struts?
No, it does not have struts. It's got the one lift, which is a worm driven.
But does it not have a helper?
No, it does not.
Well,
it's over on the driver's side. The only control on it.
Right. Yeah.
That lifts it.
So tell me again what it does. Does it not go all the way up?
Yes, sir. It goes all the way up and then reverses and comes back down.
Okay. So when it doesn't work, what does it not do again?
When it doesn't work, it goes all the way up, and instead of staying up, this horn comes on, and the gate comes back down.
So.
But if I help it up with a little bit of force going up, we'll stay.
Well,
and
then
this doesn't happen every time.
Yes,
sir.
Right, I got you.
Maybe 3 or 4 times out of 10.
Well, Bill, in that case, that motor appears to be weak, and what's happening is that as it gets to the top of the travel or it gets somewhere along its travel, it starts to draw more current, and the car thinks that it's striking something. And I think that you're doing the right thing by making it go all the way up and come all the way down. And other than the fact of reading the current voltage that it takes and the amperage draw of that motor, that's what I would do and what my technicians would do to determine if indeed that is the problem. So you're going to need to go to an automotive service shop, and I would highly recommend that you go to a shop that employs ASE certified technicians. In fact, to that end, our shop has just been certified Blue Seal, which means that 75% of all technicians have to be ASE certified. And I'm proud to say that 100% of our technicians are all certified with 2 master certifications. So that's what I would recommend, because indeed that's what it's going to take to pinpoint that problem. And you're on the right track there now that you and I have talked. And folks, to that end, that's the end of the first hour. Another great hour coming up. Jason and Rick are going to come with us. You do as well. I'm Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Okay, Car Clinic listeners and viewers, mark your calendar, June 24. I'll give away a Super Chips Dash Pack in-cab performance tuner valued, get this, at $450 to $500 depending on your vehicle. Dash Pack is Super Chips' all-new in-cab performance tuner and monitor combo. With coverage for gas and diesel trucks and SUVs, the Dash Pack pairs Super Chips flash tuning technology with a sharp on-dash display for real-time monitoring and performance management. A button interface is used to navigate between the power levels, customized for options like aftermarket tires or gears, and set user-adjustable thresholds for designated engine parameters, including, get this, transmission temperature, EGTs, boost, and more. Whether you're driving a Duramax diesel or an F-150 EcoBoost, Dash Pack delivers countless options to conform so that you have real-time monitoring to accompany performance tuning. Mark your calendars June 24th to call in. A Dash Pack could be yours.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, live via ABC Radio Satellite Services. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Barney White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition and another hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sit back and let's have some fun, some car fun. Now, I don't know about you, but repairs, automotive repair, and root canal. Oh, that's a terrible, okay, excuse me. But really, a lot of people, that's the way they feel. And I don't know if you've ever been to a service provider and maybe you walked away and you just weren't satisfied, you weren't really happy, or it's not about the money. Most often, it's about lack of communication. And that's where I say we, my team at Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair. And by the way, we're coming to you from the center of the automotive universe, which is a studio that's inside a 15,000 square foot full shop, bumper to bumper automotive service facility, a Bosch authorized service center, a Napa Auto Care Center, and our center of the universe. And over the past 46 years, we serviced, maintained, pre-repaired, that's right, pre-repaired, the prevention of repair, which is a service plan that we created and we codified and we trade service marked it, and that's the prevention of repair. So we know that for every service that we provide on the components under pre-repair, actually when we change the fluids and put in the fresh lubricants and brake fluid, that's $1 spent and versus $6 for repairs. I'm going to come back and take your calls at 888-227-2546. Like us, you're going to love us. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Here's an email from a Car Clinic listener. David writes, "What's the amber light on my dash? It looks like a cork pointing at an angle to a picture on the side of the car. This light has been on and off for about a year now, and I think it's time I check it out." Well, David, no time like the present. The light indicates a detected failure that could allow gasoline fumes to evaporate into the air, costing you money in lost fuel and polluting the air. Most common failure that trips the light? A small evap leak, or in other words, loose fuel cap. Besides being tight, the cap must also be in good condition. Fuel caps don't last forever, and poor quality caps don't work well from the beginning. Stant makes a large line of fuel caps that will last a very long time and ensure proper sealing of the system. Stant fuel caps are the only aftermarket caps to include all the safety features of the original equipment cap. Visit Stant.com or ask your local parts store for a Stant gas cap by name. Time for another question from the Car Clinic inbox. Dear Bobby, I recently had my 2012 Hyundai Sonata serviced, and the dealer mentioned I'm going to be needing tires soon. I haven't shopped for tires in a while. Do you have any recommendations? Well, that was an easy question for me to answer, folks. Since the Hyundai was new just 5 years ago, tire technology has improved greatly. Not just rubber compound and tread design, but features have been added to help both the vehicle owner and mechanic alike assess both vehicle and tire condition. General Tire, for example, now offers many tires that feature both alignment and tread wear indicators built in. These indicators will tell both the novice and the trained eye when the tire needs to be replaced and when the vehicle's out of alignment. Now is an especially good time to be shopping for tires. General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires. And with new tires like the G-Max AS05, the selection has never been better. Find your next set of tires at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and here's how this will work. Miss Jan will take your calls and put you in the queue, and that number to call is 888 Car Clinic. You can just give her your name and the state that you're calling from, and whatever kind of car that you have. You don't have to explain the question. I prefer that you not go into the details with Miss Jan. Just simply say, this is Vincent from Washington, and I have a 015, whatever you drive, and I have a transmission question or an oil question. It's really that simple. And I want to make sure that you understand that there are only dumb car question that ask is the one not asked. So if you have what you think is an off-the-wall, weird, strange, naive question, don't fret. Nobody knows the industry. And I say nobody. Very few people who own cars really understand what it takes to care for that car. And especially with today's automobiles, because today's cars, and I said today's cars, it's funny, I used that same terminology 10 years ago or 15 years ago, are computer control. And what that means, but even more so, is that all of the functions of the vehicle, more and more of the functions of the vehicle, are not only controlled by computers, but those functions work hand in glove with other like functions on the car. And I'll give you an example, not to get technical, but your ABS. We all know what ABS. You know, it's raining and something happens and you panic stop. You just nail the brake pedal and the car takes over automatically and it pumps the brakes and it brings you to a safer straight stop. So that means that your car had already, if it has ABS, and let's say it was 10 years old, it had already a device that would control wheel spin or wheel lockup. So, and wheel spin's the opposite of lockup. Lockup means that you're going 50 and you nail the brakes and the right rear slows to 0 and the rest of the wheels are slowing to 30, 25 or slower speeds. Well, the computer knows that you can't have 3 wheels running 25 to 40 and 1 wheel running 0, so it knows that that's the wheel that's locking up. Now, on the other hand, how can we add another system without any more complexity? We take that same speedometer per wheel. That's really all you have to know is each wheel has its own little speedometer. We take that same speedometer and we feed that to another module that is already shaking hands with the ABS module and with the engine control. Now remember, you really aren't accelerating with a pedal. You're just sending an electronic signal to a computer that is throttling the engine. It's like drive-by-wire. You don't think a pilot has cables and pulleys that drive those big jets. No. Well, that's the same way with your automobile. So what the manufacturers did that's so cool, is they took that existing technology for the brake system and they added another module so that if you're standing still and you nail the throttle in the rain, well, you would never do that, but let's just say that you did. Then whichever wheel started to, or if any of the wheels, let's say it's a rear drive, started to spin, that same speedometer would tell the stability control, hey, wait a minute, we've got throttle wide open and the tires are not hooking up here. We're spinning the tires. So that throttle control would shut the throttle off. You're still nailing the throttle. Doesn't matter. What you do doesn't matter because the computer controls the throttle. Just like you see commercials on brakes, they're using radar. Like the Mercedes, I think, has the best so far that I've seen commercial, where you see the Mercedes running 70, 80 miles an hour, and then it comes to the brick wall and stops. And they do that, they being the OEMs, because they already have these systems and they're adding more systems to this car. The challenge is for shops, new car dealerships and independent shops, and I'm sure chain stores as well. The challenge is all of these systems work hand in glove. And I'll give you a quick example, and I'll see that Jim from New York is on the phone, and Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, 227-2546. Let's say that you nail the throttle, and let's say that you left the gas cap loose. Well, we all know a check engine light's going to come on, right? Yes. Okay. Is there anything wrong with the car? No, not really. It's just polluting the air. But there's nothing physically wrong with the car except that the gas cap's leaking fumes into the atmosphere. But lo and behold, shortly thereafter, the STS, the stability light, will come on because it sees a problem in the engine. It doesn't know what the problem is. It just knows that the check engine light came on and has thrown a code. And so it says, now, wait a minute. If my wheels start to spin, I'm dependent on the engine control to do its job, but I see that the engine control has its hands thrown up with a light. Not because it has a problem, but because the gas cap loose, but it doesn't know that. So the stability light will come on too. This is really common in Lexus cars and Mercedes cars. So if you have a check engine light that comes on your Mercedes, shortly thereafter, you will have some safety restraint system or some stability system that comes on too, not because it has a problem, but because it depends on the engine controls to control the throttle, and it thinks that it knows there's some problem. It doesn't care what. So as you can see by this explanation, everything has to work in unison. Now, does the light come on easily? No. Believe you me, there are codes in your computer of every car that's on the highway right now, save the ones that had just been cleared. There are codes that are there for memory that you don't know are there because the check engine light did not come on because these little glitches, little hiccups, only occurred short distances or short periods of time, and then it was okay. And so if the check engine light were to come on every time a glitch were to come up, like you hit the mirror to adjust the mirror, and the mirror didn't move, you say, oh, wait a minute, I did that, and you hit it again, and it works. Well, you think you did that. Well, it might be that the system did that. The computer records that. It doesn't turn the light on, but when we go into the architecture of reading the codes and through the gatekeeper into the system, we see that code was there, and we know when it was there. We know exactly what happened and when. So that's what really interests me with regard to the automotive service world is the technology and the fact that what you see on the front side, there's a lot more going on the back side. So all the more reason to give me a shout. I don't know the answers to all the questions, but I'll share with you those that I do know, and I'll also tell you when I don't know. Let's go to New York. We'll take Jim's call. He was first in, so he's first up. Jim, I want to welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding, sir.
Hello. Yes, I have a 2005 Taurus.
Okay.
Ford Taurus. And the check engine light has been on for some time, weeks, and I had taken it at a couple of different places, but one place, the last place I took it to said, they try to reprogram it to, the engine light is on and it says fuel level error, and my fuel gauge doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So what they come up with is it's the sending unit in your gas tank.
Okay.
To get it to that, and the fuel pump is, and the sending unit is all one unit or whatever.
Yes, sir.
The total estimate they're giving me is $800.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if that's
normal or, fair?
It is, and that, Jim, that's a really great question. We have that question quite often. The fuel gauge is part of a module, and that module, think of a coffee can. That module is about the size of a coffee can, and inside that module has the fuel pump. It has all of the wiring for the pump. It has the fuel sender, the float gauge, which looks just like a toilet bowl arm. It has that gauge, and that gauge sends a signal. So the labor, and here's why they're quoting that, and we do the same thing, so I agree 100%. They're quoting that because the labor to gain access to the bucket, to the module, to replace part of it, if you could replace that module without replacing the pump, or replace the pump without replacing the module, which you can do, is the same thing. So because you have to drain the tank, because you have to drop the tank, and in some cases we have to pull trailer hitches off of cars, and it can really be labor intensive. Because of that, you would always use that opportunity to replace that assembly to make it as new. So I agree, they are doing you a great service, and I would go with that estimate because the car is 11 years old. Got to take a hard break. I'll be back. Don't touch that dial. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport, and we'll share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com. Let's dive into another Car Clinic email. Dear Bobby, my vehicle has just gone out of warranty. It has 48,000 miles, and now all maintenance is my responsibility. Can you suggest a maintenance checklist? I'd like to keep this vehicle long-term. Assuming your vehicle is about 4 years old and has just under 50,000 miles on the odometer, we suggest starting with the fluids. Think brake fluid, transmission fluid, and of course coolant. The cooling system is often overlooked. While coolant and cooling systems have evolved through the years, they still need service. Have the cooling system flushed and refilled with a proper antifreeze coolant for your specific vehicle, and inspect all belts and hoses. And don't forget the thermostat and radiator cap. Complete the system service with a new Stant Superstat and a new Stant radiator pressure cap. This is a great way to extend the life of all cooling system components and add reliability to your vehicle. Stant products meet or exceed OE quality in both fit and function. Learn more at Stant.com. That's Stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Just delighted to have you join me today. What fun talking about cars. You know, I have so many people that call me. I have a lot of women that call and say, you know, my husband has a question, but he doesn't want to talk on air, and I listen to your program, and I think that he should listen to you more. And it's so funny from time to time. But I'm here to share with you information that I have experience with in my 45 years in automotive service industry. And I've seen a lot of strange things that happen. And I love the technology, the newer technology, and that's one of the things that makes cars more expensive to work on for sure. And just know that the old shade tree mechanic out under the tree, that's gone. It's gone forever. Cars are so sophisticated. And for the life of me, folks, I don't even see how the DIYers do what they do. I think they're beginning to see that, and that's a DIYer is a do-it-yourselfer, and those folks can change oil and filter. But I would imagine that of all of the folks that are tuned in now that have you changed your own oil and filter, I bet you there are some of you that pre-fill the oil filter, which is of no significance and totally unnecessary. And if you want to call in about that, I'll tell you why. And also, I doubt there are very many people that can tell you what causes oil to oxidize or how long you really should go on oil. When I say that, how many miles you should drive on before changing your engine oil, or what kind of oil, either synthetic or conventional oil, or what kind of additives to use. And additives are good. I mean, all oil has additives in it. So the real challenge is knowing what additives to add. There was a gentleman that I held and still do in high esteem. His name is Dennis Rosson. And he was a guru. He used to give a class to technicians, and he would sit in a chair like your grandfather. And he was a gray-haired guy, and he would point up at the screen. Well, you see up here, I've got this and this, and he was so very interesting because he didn't look down on anyone in the class. And he could throw something out, and then you could ask a question. And if he didn't get anyone that would answer the question or get any participation, he would stop and he said, "Hey, look, I'm not here by myself. I'm here with some 35 of you." And he did a great job, and he taught me a lot. And I only sat in on maybe 2 of his classes, but I watched him on several other classes online. And just a super individual. And I'm going to take a call here because we got 3 folks in the queue, but I'll share this with you. He told me about, and his company made these additives, but he told me, he said, so many people buy the pour and praise. I said, pour and praise? What's that? He said, that's where an owner of a car, a DIYer, has a problem with his engine, and he goes to the part store, and he buys a fuel injector cleaner or some oil additive or some whatever kind of additive and pours it in the fuel tank and prays that it fixes the problem. And so we call it pour and pray. I said, well, Dennis, your company makes pour and praise. He said, no, our company makes additives that work. So let's go to South Carolina and talk to Roger, and then we're going to go to Michigan and talk to Jim, and then Nebraska, Dan, coming to you following Jim. Roger, welcome back. Well, I said back, but welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Have you got me?
I got you.
Okay. My problem, I have a 1994 Dodge pickup truck. It's a 6-cylinder. It's a Dakota Sport. Okay, and it's a 6-cylinder Magnum. But anyway, the problem, I had a battery not long ago. It started boiling. Okay, I take it. It was under warranty. I take it back, and they gave me another one without telling me what was wrong, and I didn't know. So I put this other one, and it's boiling again. What's causing it to boil?
The alternator's overcharging.
Well, okay, I put a new alternator in it.
Well, okay, all right. Well, now it's time for, heaven forbid, for some tests. See,
well, does it have a voltage regulator?
Yeah, it's built into the alternator. And let me say this, and it's ironic you should call me because the first call I had today was about, I told the story of this lady that came in and had a battery. And it was just yesterday she had to have her car jump-started. She came in, and in fact, she walked back into the shop after about 50 minutes or so, and she says, well, what's going on here? I've been here an hour, and I'm ready to go. And, I mean, she was anxious to go. And so I can appreciate that because an hour in a waiting room on your car is like eternity. So anyway, we checked our alternator, and it was only putting out 13.2, and that's not enough. But the battery had been damaged because the end of the story was, Roger, we could not test the car properly because the battery that was in it, which we had put in August of last year, the battery was fried, just like your battery was. So we took another battery off the shelf and put a new battery in the car. And that's all we did. And then we measured the alternator that was putting out 13.2, and guess what it was putting out? 18 volts.
Well, how much is this supposed to be put? This battery's only been in there about a month and a half.
Okay, but but listen. Here was the challenge: the alternator could not be tested because even though it was pushing 18 volts, the battery that it had burned up, just like yours had yours burned up, the battery was absorbing everything it could possibly absorb because it didn't have the plates were damaged. So it didn't show as being a defective alternator. But lo and behold, when we put a real battery that it wasn't trying to recover from surgery, I mean from an eruption, lo and behold, the reading went from 13.2 to 18 volts, and so we knew the alternator was bad. And so then we also turned the engine off, and then we knew. And I told Miss B, I said, you got to have an alternator. I'm going to replace the battery under warranty. Which it really wasn't a bad defective battery, but it's okay. As I mentioned, O'Reilly Auto Parts, those guys are great. So okay, we put a battery in it. Well, after we put the battery in and determined that the alternator was overcharging 18 volts, we turned it off. And then just for grins, Johnny, who is our master ASE technician, one of our master ASE technicians, Johnny Bars, checked the alternator. Not only was it overcharging, it had a direct drain on the battery. So, and that's very unusual to have two different problems with an alternator. One, the alternator was shorted and draining the battery, so when she turned the key off, no wonder the car wouldn't start because it would go dead after about a week's time. Number two, when it did jump start, the battery had been fried because it was overcharging. So here was an alternator that had a drain at static with the engine turned off, and then it had an overcharge when the engine was running. And so it was a really strange situation. We put an alternator on it. We had already replaced the battery just yesterday, with another battery, and it was fine. And so I felt really confident that she was going to be okay. Now, having said that, what you'll have to do, because this new battery, the second new battery, has been boiled, you'll have to put, and I'm sure the store will work with you, you'll have to put a new battery in that car, and then you'll test at the battery the alternator's charging. And the battery, you should not see over 15.5 volts with the alternator with the new battery in it, because you cannot properly test it with a battery that's been damaged, and your battery, just by the fact that you said it boiled, has been damaged, even if it is the second new battery. So when
I went out this morning, I mean, it cranks right up, bang,
Well, yeah, but it's being destroyed. It's being destroyed as we speak by an overcharge. That's the only thing that will cause that battery to boil is heat from overcharging.
All I need is a new battery?
No, you need a new battery to test the charging system of the car in place. And when I say in place, never take your alternator, and this is another thing that DIYers do, not that you're a DIYer, but do-it-yourselfers, they'll take an alternator to a parts store or to a technician and say, check this alternator out. That's not the way you do it. You take the car, because there's wiring in the car that affects the charging of the alternator. And as such, because there's wiring in the car that affects the alternator, you could put a dozen alternators on one car, but if you had a bad wire on that particular car, the 12 of those dozen alternators would not work correctly, because it's not the alternator, it's extenuating circumstances that are affecting the alternator itself because it's part of the car. That's why when you check, we call it an AVR, and I've called it that for years, alternator voltage regulator test. We checked the whole car when it's running in place. And we never take components off the car and check it, because they're not under the same conditions on the bench as they are in the car. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. In other words, I've just got to get a new battery. And what should it test when it runs? What did you say?
15.4, 15.5 is the most you should see. And if it is under with everything turned on at 2,000 RPM, and I'm talking about defroster and air conditioner blower motor wide open, and if you got a rear window defroster, turn it on, and the headlights on bright. So with all the accessories and all the big power drains turned on, and the engine running 1,500 RPM, or 2,000, 1,500 is fine, not idling, but 1,500 RPM, that battery should sustain 13.1 volts.
Okay.
If it comes under 13 volts, the alternator is not charging enough. I suspect that yours, with a new battery and everything on, is going to hold 15 volts, and I suspect that yours, with everything off, is going to jump up to 16 or 17 volts. So is the charge?
It pegs out. The instrument
pegs
needle
out.
Pegs
well,
out.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. That's exactly. So you've got an alternator. Now, understand this before I let you go, Roger.
Yeah.
Just because the alternator is overcharging, you could, now that you've had an alternator replaced and two batteries, there could be a wiring issue on the automobile that is affecting that car. I doubt it, but there could be. So the first thing that needs to be done is all the grounds that have to do with the battery need to be, especially on the engine block, and then the block to the firewall, and then the battery to the core support. You've got a battery ground cable, and then there's a little cable. So those things are, but any technician worth his or her salt will know to check those grounds. The main thing is you put a known quality battery in the car, and then you check the alternator and see what it's doing, and you're going to find out you got an alternator that's doing twice what it should be doing. No, not twice, but overworking. Hey, thanks for your call.
Local.
I'm glad you.
I wish you were local.
That's the second time I've heard that this morning.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Roger.
Okay. All right, bye.
All right, bye. Take care. All right, we're going to go to our car clinic reporter when we come back from the break, Jim. And then I see that we have another Jim from Nebraska. He's got a fuel. Oh gosh! Now Jim from Nebraska has got a fuel issue. Doesn't use ethanol. Well, Jim, you must stay. He's got a 06 Kawasaki ATV. So that's going to be interesting. I want to hear from him. And then we've got another Dan from Nebraska. South Carolina and Nebraska is hot this morning. We're going to go to Michigan. So with the two Jims, you stay right there for Michigan and Nebraska, and Dan, you stay right there, because after the break, we're going to come back, take your calls. I'll pick up the pace a little bit so we can get everyone in the queue at 888-227-2546. Thanks for calling in, folks. Great show. We recently had the opportunity to work on a 2005 F-150. The vehicle owner was complaining about brake noise. His pads and shoes were not terribly old, but did have some miles on them. He's in the delivery service business, which puts his vehicle through a lot of stop-and-go traffic. This works the brakes really hard and can often lead to glazing and excessive brake dust. After performing a visual inspection, we cleaned the brakes using Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner. It's the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is designed to stop brake squeal. It's the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner available and dries completely without residue. As part of the process, we were sure to clean the pivot and shoe pad contact points along with the brake spring hardware and self-adjuster mechanisms. Brake dust gets everywhere, and a proper cleaning on an annual basis will lead to longer brake life and better brake performance. Learn more about the new Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We'll go right back to the phones. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. 888-227-2546. I'll try to move it along. The longest in the queue would be Mike. So let's take a call from South Dakota. Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
You betcha. Thanks so much for having me on today. Say a quick question for you.
Okay.
I own my 2011 Chevrolet Tahoe, and that's a great feeling. And put about 30,000 miles a year on, driving here and there, vacations, kids, activities, etc. So at about 117,000 miles right now, I was just curious. The body's good. Maintain it all the time. Do you think there's a cost benefit to replacing an engine and a transmission rather than buying a new car outright?
Why does it need a new transmission and engine?
If I want to keep it another 2 to 3 years and I'm just putting a ton of miles on, I was just wondering if there's ever a good cost benefit to do that at some point.
Absolutely.
If you don't want a car payment.
Absolutely. Okay. We just, and in fact, to that end, just this week I had a Denali in here, an 05 Denali, same engine you have. I don't know if you have a 6.0, but that's what it had, but it's the same design. Okay. And it had a low cold oil pressure problem, which is common, by the way. And we have learned through our due diligence what causes that. And a gentleman brought this vehicle in. We removed the pan. We also had to remove the front differential because it's four-wheel drive Denali to gain access to the pan. And we put a new oil pickup tube and the O-ring that causes it to suck air. And as a result, that fixed an oil pressure problem. Prior to that, we had a lady from North Carolina, I believe, visiting, who had 200,000 miles on her Tahoe, like yours, and at 200,000 miles, the dealer in her hometown had replaced the oil sender unit for oil pressure, and she went to the local dealer here, and they said, well, it's not the oil sender, it's already been replaced. You need a new engine because you have 200,000 miles, and I could see where they would draw the conclusion. Anyway, she was visiting friends, brought it to us. We ran tests on the oil pressure, and the oil pressure and the sound of the engine, Mike, was so outstanding that we couldn't believe it needed an engine. So we pulled the pan, and lo and behold, not only did we replace the oil pickup tube and the O-ring that causes this problem, but we removed the oil sender switch, and under the oil sender switch, but very hard to get to, you cannot see it. You have to use a pick like they use when you have your teeth cleaned, a little curly cue. I'm sure there's a name for it. You have to pluck that oil screen out of the galley that feeds oil to the top of the engine. And I talked personally with a parts counterman who is a good friend of ours at the local Chevrolet dealership. And he said, Bobby, we lose more lifters and more top ends of engines when GM put this oil filter inside the engine in the oil galley. which should have never been done, and people don't know it's there, and it blocks oil, and it's there to protect the roller lifters, and this is especially on those engines that have the cylinder deactivation. So having said that, if anyone out there is listening and you have a V8 04, 5, 6, or 7 Tahoe or Denali or a GMC or Chevrolet, you need this service performed. And Mike, when your oil pressure comes up on your Tahoe cold, does it always immediately come up, or does the engine run and all of a sudden, boom, the oil pressure jumps up? That ever happen?
Well, no, sir. I
Okay.
guess I haven't really monitored that. I mean, I've been driving for a while. It's just a shade under 40 right now that I
Right.
see on it.
Right.
So no, I wouldn't say. Like I said, I love not having a car payment. If I need to save some money for some major repairs, I wondered if $5,000 to $7,000 would do it. But sounds like there's other things I should look for before I jump right in.
Absolutely,
maybe at $100,000. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Here's what I would suggest. Don't put in your mind that there's going to come a day where this truck that you're driving is going to roll over and die. Instead, and in other words, and I'm going to be faced with doomsday. Instead, do an annual inspection on the vehicle, stay in tune with the vehicle so that you know and your technician knows, and stay with the same technician so that he or she learns your vehicle as well. And then when all of a sudden the vehicle starts to stay in my garage or their garage more than it does in yours, then you say, let's talk about this. You'd be really surprised at how often Brendan, my general manager, and I tell folks, don't spend the money on this vehicle. It's got to go. We did it this week with one of our great customers. Hadn't been in since July of last year. And, I mean, it needed first place, the fans broke and stuck into the radiator. And so, it was vibrating. I mean, it was not rocket science. Plus, he brought it in because the transmission didn't shift, not because there was something wrong with the transmission, but because the motor didn't have any power. So it needed a catalytic converter that we figured was stopped up. At least it had to do some testing. He needed a radiator that we saw after we got the fans off, and then a water pump's leaking. So here we've got a radiator fan assembly, dual fans, a radiator assembly, a water pump assembly, and a catalytic converter assembly. So he's going to be $2,000. And he said, what would you do? I said, I think it's time for you to stop this. We took the radiator fans back out, put them back in the box, put his back in, and said, go look at a used car. He said, my wife and I did that yesterday.
Okay. All right.
All
This
right.
has been great. I sure do appreciate it.
I appreciate
Y'all
you.
Have a nice day now.
Thank you. Great questions. We'll take a next one up. Who's the next one up? Richard. Richard with a 2003 Corvette. Richard, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, sir.
The clutch it went down, and I was driving it, and it's leaking fluid.
Right.
And I'm told you got to take the whole thing out, 9 hours of labor and the whole work to stop the leak.
Well, it's like my Viper. The slave cylinder that is located, I presume, with yours, if it's inside the bell housing. So you have to pull the transmission because it pushes straight forward on the fingers of the pressure plate. So when you depress the master cylinder, which is your left foot, that pushes fluid down a line that goes into the transmission. If your car is designed that way, and I presume that it is. Is it a 6-speed?
Yes,
Yeah,
Z06 is Z06.
Yeah, it's a
Corvette.
Tremac. Yeah, so yes, sir, that's correct. And you just replace the cylinder. I did that with my Viper, and it happened one cold morning, and it wasn't miles. It only had 20,000 at that time. It's got 31,000 now, but it's an 01 model.
Well, mine's got 15,000, so I don't drive
it's just
it. I
age.
just feels dry,
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing you could do to have stopped that. That's age. Just pull it, bite the bullet, and get someone that's familiar with it so that you don't cause more problems, and someone delicate, someone that cares, and take that transmission out and replace that slave cylinder, bleed the system. Now, had you bled the system religiously every 2 years, you may have saved the seals in that slave cylinder, but I won't say that because I don't know that.
There's no additive that might help.
No, you got to pull it.
Got to pull it.
Yeah, just get someone who's done that. We did that on mine. It's the same. It's a hourly job, but I don't know that it's 9 hours, but it sounds like a lot of hours to me. But Anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what I was told. I don't know. 6'9" and the whole 9 yards. So
okay, well, maybe for all had to be done. Hey, thanks for your call, and I'm glad you reached out to me.
I appreciate it. You mentioned tires because you're always, I forget which, you're pushing General now?
Yeah.
For my Vet, they're 13 years old, and my Porsche is 13 years
Time
old.
to
What
go.
do you recommend?
Michelin Pilot Sports.
Michelin Pilot Sports. For both?
That's what I have on my Viper.
Michelin Pilot Sports for both cars.
Yes, sir.
Porsche and the Vet, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And the Vet, they're the ones that you don't need the run flats. That's not a run flat.
I don't like
right?
run flat tires. They're too hard. They're too brittle. I'm over that. They're not necessary. Tires
I
are
got you. I agree with you 100%.
Too much.
Thank you, Mission.
Hey, man, I got to go. I thank you for your call, Richard. Appreciate you. We'll take another call. Now, it is true that I do run General tires on my Toyota, but there are specific tires that I run on a Porsche and my Viper, and those particular tires are the Michelin tire, the Pilot S, because it works well on that vehicle. So just because I have a sponsor that pays me to say sponsor B doesn't mean that I won't talk about another tire, because this is my show, and I run my show according to what my experience gives me. And Michelin makes a good tire. I've actually flown to Quebec and tested Michelin tires, and they make great tires. They're expensive, but they make great tires. But you can always go to, there's another company, Tire Rack, and compare. And I'll use Tire Rack because they have a lot of consumers that report, and then I'll choose after I'm at Tire Rack, not necessarily that I buy from Tire Rack, but I'll choose from there. Okay, take another call. Who's up next? Tom from Missouri. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, hello, Bobby. How you doing?
Fine, sir.
This is Tom from Farmington, Missouri. I just had a question about tires, and you got onto it. My Colorado, I don't know. I bought a set of tires last year, or 2 years ago. They're supposed to be 40,000-mile tires, and I got about 20,000. And the tread depth is still good.
I'll tell you what tire to put on that. I know what tire to put on that car. That's a Colorado, and in this case, you put the General Grabber HTS, because the General Grabber HTS, but don't use the HTS, use the HTS 60, because there's a 25% increase in wear against wear. So you get 25% more wear, and this is a perfect match.
Good.
And just a General tire. They make the tire for that car, and I'm just so glad you called. And that's exactly what I would put if that car belonged, that Chevy Colorado belonged to me. That's what the tire I put on it. And it's called the Grabber HTS 60. Make sure you get the 60. You got it?
Yeah. Hey, I got one more question about oil.
Okay.
Are you still using Royal Purple in your shop?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I just wondered because I don't hear you talking about it much anymore. We talk more about Mobil 1 products, and I was just wondering.
We use Mobil 1 because of price point. We're in a competitive market. The cost of the boutique oil that was once boutique. See, Royal Purple was purchased by Calumet. Calumet is a company in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's a petroleum-based company. And so in 2012, Calumet purchased Royal Purple. And as such, they're leading in a different direction. And the cost of Royal Purple, which I have in my car right now, but we also added to our line Mobil 1, because the Mobil 1 comes in 65 lines of new cars. So that gives us the ability to service more cars, and it gives us the ability to match the budgets of more people, more of our customers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's
that makes
pretty
sense.
High. I know that.
That's just it's business. Hey, thank you so much, Tom, for your call.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Thank
sir. Let's take a call from Kansas. Eric, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, I've got a 1963 Minneapolis Moline Jetstar 3 tractor.
Okay.
And I was having starting issues. It's a carbureted tractor, 4-cylinder.
Yes, sir.
I took apart the carburetor, replaced plugs. It ran like a top for about 4 hours, and then it's all of a sudden started acting like it was running out of fuel, and just, I don't know if the tube between the intake manifold could have froze up or what, but I'm not sure where to go from there.
Well, let me ask a question. Where's the fuel pump located?
Gravity flow.
Oh, really? Well, so are you getting fuel to the carburetor inlet?
Yes, I pulled the drain on the carburetor and it had full flow through the carburetor.
Have you lifted the top off the carburetor to see if the jet may be stopped up with debris from the tank?
Well, I just did that. I mean, before, but I haven't done it since.
Well, but
since
see,
I cleaned
whatever
it,
you...
I got the sediment bowl.
Yes, sir. Whatever you find, Eric, in that bowl, it has to be coming from above. So you sound to me like you've got tank problems because the carburetor is the beneficiary of the debris from your tank. So were it me, I would, because it's gravity feed, sounds easy to get to, I would get me a plastic, gasoline safe container, and I would disconnect that fuel line, and I would take a paint stir stick, I guess, for lack of a better. That's easy, I'm sure you got one around the farm there, and I'd stir that gasoline tank and agitate the inside and see what comes out. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know how that works for you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. You're welcome. I'm not sure that's what he wanted to hear, but it's not a carburetor problem. The carburetor is the recipient of the problem, and the problem is debris, and that's a recipient of probably an old farm tractor. Speaking of old, the show is almost it's almost over. And Al, I wanted to get Al, but I don't have time, Al. I'm out of time, so we'll have to talk next week from New York. Folks, join me next week. Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Love cars. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
We recently had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist at General Tire. John provided several tips, including things you can do to help extend tire life.
There are things you can do to extend the life of your tires. One is your air pressure. Check it on a monthly basis. The other is your wheel alignment and your front end alignment on your vehicle. We have a couple products that will help you with that. The vehicle alignment indicators on the tires, as well as RTM, the Replace Tire Monitor System, that will actually tell you in a series of words printed on the tire when it's time for new tires. So always check your tires and take care of the tires because they will take care of you at the end of the day.
And now through June 15th, General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires. And with the new tires like the G-Max AS05, the selection has never been better. Find your next set of tires at GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here